I'm always in awe of people who are super efficient at getting things done. And I've noticed since I went into perimenopause and menopause, I've become less able to do so. Sometimes it takes me a long time to start my day or to get focused. And when I was in perimenopause, there were days where I could not even start my day until the evening. Really, I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't focus. I couldn't concentrate. My thoughts were all over the place and everywhere except where they needed to be when it came to my work because I'm an entrepreneur and I started my own company with Randy back in 2000. So we've now had 3 businesses. And because I was in perimenopause and didn't know it at the time, I just thought something was wrong with me. I didn't know what or understand what was happening to my body. So, because I'm always in awe of people who are efficient with their time, I'm excited because today's guest is going to help us kind of hone in on that. She's an efficiency manager. She's an expert when it comes to efficiency. And she's going to provide us with some tips and some snacks on how to get through our busy days with being more productive, but also in ways that don't make it so overwhelming. So she's going to help us be less overwhelmed and she's going to help us with focus and concentration. But before I bring in my desk, I want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Andrea Donsky. I'm a nutritionist for almost 20 years, menopause educator, and soon to be published menopause researcher. I'm also the co-founder of wearemorphus.com, a company that helps to empower and educate you when it comes to perimenopause and menopause with nutrition, lifestyle, research, and science-backed supplements. So if you're suffering with any of the 103 signs and symptoms of menopause, or you just want to take control of your health as you enter into this journey we call perimenopause and menopause, I highly recommend checking out my line of high quality supplements called Morphus. All these supplements were vetted by me and also by Randy, and we take them ourselves, so we know they work. You can find them all at wearemorphus.com under the shop section. Today I'm speaking with Lisa Borden. She's a trusted advisor and mentor to purpose driven entrepreneurs and curious thinkers since she founded her business in 1994. With 3 decades of experience, Lisa delivers both high-touch advisory services and self-guided support, empowering people to discover their potential, optimize their efforts, and create success that's not just measurable, but that's deeply meaningful. As a self-described efficiency engineer, Lisa blends evidence-based tools with a laser-focused execution style. She's committed to driving real, lasting results that generate tangible value for both her private clients and members of the Wellness Intelligence Collective, the thriving online community she founded and leads. Lisa is known to prioritizing radical transparency and trust, always showing up with an unwavering commitment to helping turn someday hopes and dreams into reality. Now, here's Lisa. Welcome to Menopause Reimagined, Lisa.
Thank you for having me. So happy to see you.
Oh, always happy to see you. And you're one of my favorite people. And I had the opportunity of being interviewed by you in your incredible community, which we'll talk about today. And when I think of somebody, I think of a woman who owns her power, who is extremely bright, who is able to get shit done in an efficient manner. And your writing skills and just everything that you do, I'm always in awe of how incredible you are. And add on top of that, kind and just like an all around incredible human being. I wanted to have you on today because as we go into perimenopause and menopause, and we know that within the top 10 most common symptoms, concentration, lack of focus, like overwhelm, all of that is so real for us. We are more stressed, our anxiety levels are up. We're just dealing with so much. And I thought, who better than you to come on and help us to just teach us some strategies of how we could lessen the overwhelm and actually get things done.
Well, first of all, I have to say that I'm working on receiving. That's like I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm not uncomfortable hearing somebody speak so kindly to me. Thank you for that introduction, that generous introduction. And we both have agreed that it's like a mutual admiration society as 2 women who have been in this industry for a long time. And, as I think we've discussed, we're both still doing the same thing, even though it's very different than what we were doing 25 and 30 years ago. And being a woman, I mean, I know I'm going to be 53 shortly, and I will say, like, overwhelm is real. People say, like, don't be busy, but have a 4-hour morning routine. Um, don't feel overwhelmed and stressed, but feed your family a whole food dinner. Don't, like, there's all this, like, we don't want to shit on people, and you can scroll through social media and everything can be so hopeful and lovely and bright. And I always say, like, so many people stop me and they're like, you are so positive. And I think, I'm not really all that positive. I'm like, I'm real. And so, in the quest, like a relentless quest for finding how we can feed our family a really great dinner and actually be proud of it and feel good about it, whether it's the best meal or a highly mediocre meal. Whether we have a morning routine that started at 5 a.m. with meditation and journaling, or we woke up late, or we woke up to a kid who wasn't feeling well and our day got derailed, or we just woke up cranky and in a bad mood because, I don't know, the moon, menopause, whatever the reason is, there's so much of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So so that's how I found my way to efficiency is, I don't know, I think I was making up for lack of education, lack of skill, lack of knowing what I wanted to do, and watching so many people struggle and thinking, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way.
Mm. And I know you are the queen of making up terms. And when we were launching Morphus, so for all of you listening, Randy and I, so my business partner of almost 25 years, we were like, okay, we need to come up with a name for our company. And this was back in like 2020 or 2021. I think it was 2020. And we were like, we need to come up with a name for our company. And it's like coming up with a new business name is not easy. So I was like, yep, we need to call Lisa Borden. We're calling Lisa because you're wordsmithing. Like you just have this knack for words and coming up with titles and making up terms. So we went to Lisa. Randy and I had a meeting with Lisa, and we came up with the name Morphus. Like Lisa, you are the reason that we have the name Morphus. It was I love it that because we all kind of had our input, but it really was you that came up with the metamorphosis, the morph, the us as a community. So I am so grateful to you for even coming up with the name of our company. But what inspires you to make up these terms? Does it come naturally to you? Is it just kind of how your brain works?
Yeah, my brain, my soul, whatever it happens to be, I love to say I'm an active listener, right? And when you're coaching or when you're working with other people, when you're living life, whatever it happens to be, think of it this way. If you're listening and paying attention and you're creative, you're going to have great ideas. And when you're working with people like you and Randy, who are not like sitting there going, nope, 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 like I wanted blue, I wanted 17 syllables, I wanted this. So I get to work with open-minded people,
Yeah.
open-hearted people. That's like my first trick is, who am I working with? Because I
Mm,
didn't used to have as big of a success rate when I worked with people who didn't care and who weren't, they weren't working in their best spot. So, thank you to you and Randy for what you show up and do every day and what you're creating, and then sitting and having that active listening. And it comes naturally to me to repackage things because as somebody who's been in marketing for 30 years, everything is taken. As you said, the difficulty of coming up with a business name is like, it's like, oh, I've seen that somewhere. Oh, it's like we have to make up words and make up spellings for everything because it's already taken. It's already done.
yeah.
It feels like we've used those words before.
Mm,
So how am I going to get someone to pay attention to like exercising more through the day like this? Better to come up with a term like exercise snacks. And my name on my first business card in 1994 was Idea Girl.
mm.
And I only used that because everybody had these titles that were so defined
Fancy.
and fancy and certain. And I was like, nah, I'm not any of those things. Go with Idea Girl. And then I realized, oh, no one needs more ideas. They need execution.
Mm.
So I was director of execution and evolution
Mm.
for brands and humans. And it's
I
evolved
love that.
since, and it's
I
evolved
love
since
that.
there. And now I go with, lots of people say to me, you need advisor or advisory and mentorship in there because that's what you do. And so I have that in there, but I like to call myself an efficiency engineer because I can roadmap and plan things. And so, how do we communicate with others through everything we're doing? There's always a term that we can come up with that's, I don't know, jogs people's memories, interests them, piques their interest differently, makes them smile,
Mm.
makes them feel like maybe they're in the right place. And all of those are, I just believe, critical to being grounded and feeling good, which is something we all need help with. I know I certainly do.
How many businesses have you helped launch? I don't know if you actually counted it in terms of helping, because I remember years ago going to your office. I don't even remember how we first met. It was so long ago.
So long.
And I came to your office and I remember you had this display of so many different products. And I know you'd only work with products, you work with, it could be services. And I remember thinking that you have helped so many brands kind of discover who they are, come up with their ethos, come up with like their marketing campaign, their website. I mean, you built my AndreaDonsky.com website, you and your team. So how many brands have you worked with to date? And what does that feel like knowing that you have been a part of so many companies' success?
Well, thanks for that question. I'm going to answer it, I think, in two parts. I
Yeah,
never
go.
really remember if I'm answering questions because I just go with it. But my first answer to that is really easy. I'm not only did I come from a place where it was like metrics are not my thing. I don't work with metrics that way. I work with feelings, and I could say it's like thousands, I would say, is my answer. Because I've worked with large brands. Obviously, I have some that I could like, the feather in my cap. But really, my joy and my pride comes from how many small businesses, like under 40-person businesses and solopreneurs,
Mm,
I've helped. So it feels really good. Like it feels really good. I'm sure you have that because we have similar amounts of decades of experience. And it really feels great to look back and understand that there's so many people who have a better sense of their brands, their business, and even themselves because of our work together, because
mhm,
they showed up and I showed up. And I would say, even in hindsight now, I can even be proud of some of the things that I was part of that didn't feel good in the moment,
mm,
whether it was my decisions or who I attracted or, um, any of those, because the lessons that I've taken away allow me to be here right now, developing better programs, developing better strategies and points of connection, connecting dots differently because of all that experience, right? Don't you feel so much more able? Like it's like we grow our capacity, right? That expanding capacity
mm,
as we go. And nothing against the 20-year-olds. I'm here to champion that 20-year-old because I was a 22-year-old once too.
mm.
But wow, when you have like decades, use that experience, because even if you don't think it's, a skill set, you think I've had 20 jobs and done this, you have so much to offer. And so I love just packaging and taking that energy and pouring it back into anyone who wants to show up.
And I love that, especially for women in this phase of life, because I mean, I'm serial entrepreneur and I've had the same female business partner for now our third company. But what I love about starting Morphus versus the other two companies that Randy and I started when we were in our 20s and then our 30s is that, yes, all of that experience and those like in decades. I mean, I'm 54. All the experience that I've had that has led us to where we are today, to be able to look back and go, ah, okay, this is what we learned. And we're always learning. Even this morning, Randy and I were having a call. We're learning all the time in terms of like something happened. We're like, oh, okay, chalk it up as a learning experience. Now we know because we're learning a new business. Like things are always evolving. So I absolutely agree with you. And no matter
Sounds
what,
cliche. It sounds cliche for anyone listening, but
but
it's
it's
not. When
so
you land in that
true.
space, it's like magic, right?
Oh, and it's so true, and I always say, like, the day I stop learning is the day that I will not be a very happy person because I'm always learning, and I'm happy to say that I don't know answers, and that's why I always say I know what I'm good at, I know what I'm not good at, I stay in my lane, I don't overstep. I try, I really try to create these expertise because that's what I spend day in, day out doing. So yes, and it makes us wiser, right? All of this experience makes us wiser. That's why when I say when we're talking about starting a company, so when we started Morphus, we are women in menopause who are
Right.
running a company for women in
Right.
perimenopause and menopause. And Randy was in perimenopause at the time. So we get it, right? We understand. So I want to go back to you for a second, Lisa. So not only are you amazing at helping entrepreneurs and solopreneurs kind of figure out anything they want to know about their company. So ladies, if you're thinking of starting a business or you have a business or you need some advice or some direction or whatever it is, I highly recommend contacting Lisa because I have used Lisa's services several times over our career. Randy and I are our businesses, and I highly recommend her. I think she's amazing.
Thank
But
you.
not only are you so good at that, but let's talk about your personal life. And I hope this is okay. I want to go a little bit into your personal life for a minute because it really sets the tone and the stage for how you show up for your customers. So talk about, your whole love for organic and your love for like, healthy living and all of that because to me it's all this one big ball of energetic energy that you bring to the table when you're working with clients.
Thank you. My love for organic, I think I would flip that and actually say my frustration for bullshit. Um, I would
Quote
flip that.
unquote.
Exactly, exactly. Can we swear on this show?
Oh,
Because you
but
can put them
please.
on. Oh,
Oh my
okay.
God, please.
Good,
Hello.
good, good.
Hello.
It's about being real. It's just
Oh,
sometimes
I
you just
swear a
need
lot.
those extra words.
Yeah.
So, when my second child was born, my daughter, Joey, who is going to be 22, she was born in 2002 with many, many health challenges, is I will call it now. And I was just thrown into the system that I was familiar and felt safe with. My father was a doctor growing up, and fortunately, was not something that I needed to lean on a lot. I was well into being an entrepreneur. I was actually like 8 years into it when she was born. And I was like, I had that like, I can do it all feeling, right? I think we've
Superwoman
all had like,
complex.
yeah, like that burst of delusional strength and determination that I can only call delusional now because if I went back then, I'm sure I would feel the same way. Like it's like a rite of passage for us as women.
Oh yeah. Or like our kids would say Delulu.
Delulu, exactly, exactly. I get that all the time. Um, and
Gen Z.
Yes, it's exactly. It's this whole, it's a whole other show that I could talk about that journey. But the short story is that my daughter was basically, I was told that my daughter wouldn't spend time in nature, that she had allergies, that she had um, food intolerances from the time she was a baby.
Mm.
And it ignited something in me that was like, again, maybe it was just denial. Like, I don't know what that force was, but I was like, I'm absolutely not accepting this. Like, how do you bring up a kid with this? No, 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 no. And I went on my search. Like you said, the minute I stopped learning, I'm like sort of done. The
Mm.
reason why you learn is because you're curious, and it's
Mm.
because you're relentless in the pursuit of something that you want. And those are qualities that I have and I love in other people. But I used to accept answers. But here you're talking about your kid. So anyone who's listening who's a mom knows exactly how I feel. Because when you get challenged as a parent, as a mother, as a woman, it's on a different level. Like I always would say, I do much better for my kids than I do for myself. I made my kids baby food, but I had no problem eating fast food myself. I bought my kids organic goat milk in glass bottles, but I drank conventional milk. So on this journey, I was thrown into looking at what can I do that's better? You only need, and you know because you wrote a book on it, you only need your life to change by reading food labels. If you pick up a food label, like I did in 2002, and life and death depends on that label, you're going to be like, what even is this in my quote unquote healthy cracker? So here I am shopping at a better store, spending more money for something healthy, and I'm discovering that it's bullshit. So I came up with a client of mine at the time, health washing. I was like, this is health washing, which is now something that, as I say it to you, you actually understand.
Mhm.
That was not a term that was understood. Greenwashing was being used at the time, but I was like, no, it's health washing. Like, you are putting a green label on something. You are telling me it's better. You are telling me it's better. You are having me open my wallet to spend more, and it's not better. That's like the lowest of the low. So what did that do? That sent me in pursuit of what was at the time organic,
Mm.
which didn't exist. It didn't exist. And then I started realizing that if I was going to bridge, like I embody, as you know, I embody my work. I do not teach and share with people things that I am not practicing myself, or I'll say, I just learned this today, or like you,
Interesting.
I don't have any answers. I'm calling Andrea Donsky because she knows.
Mm.
So I'm looking at my life and I'm turning my life over. I've cleaned out my kitchen. I've cleaned out my pantry. I've gone into my personal care. All my husband would come home from work every day and he'd be like, what did you throw out? Like, what's at our curb? I was like, everything. Like, and I was like, as educated people who are privileged to be able to,
Yeah.
buy stuff, I had some really problem items in my home. And when you learn, when I know, I don't want to unknow. I'm not turning my back on that. So I turned everything over and then I realized, shit, my business, so many of my clients are actually selling so many of those things that I have now learned about,
Yeah.
toxic coatings on pans, shampoo, like
With
name it,
parabens or
lipstick.
phthalates. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever it
right.
is.
Exactly. Phthalates on screen print, on shirts, everything. And as you know, I try not to leave stones unturned.
Unturned.
And it was a huge thing. I gave up
Yeah.
around 90% is what I still think that of my revenue and my
Wow.
clients because I couldn't work with them
Wow.
anymore.
Wow.
And so I still think of it as my same business and it's evolved rather than started other businesses. But I do not believe life and work are separate. Our lifestyle and our work style are two separate things. And people are craving balance. Women are always saying to me, how do you do it all? How do you do balance? And I'm like, I brought everything together and I put it all in one bag.
Mm.
I'm not shifting gears in a phone booth anymore, going from working mom to home mom to hockey mom, which I was never really good at. But and admitting what you're good at and what you're not. But
Yeah.
in all of that, Andrea, it's understanding that every entrepreneur that sat across from me at my desk would be so stressed. They were like burnt out. These are the wellness entrepreneurs.
Mm.
Because going against the grain, like what you and Randy have done, going against the grain takes a toll.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. So you
Oh
want to
my
eat
gosh.
organic? You want to eat
Looking
organic?
back, holy wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to do anything
Yeah.
counter status quo or outside of status quo, it's harder. It's more challenging. So you need more coping mechanisms. You need more self-care, not massages, not vacations, actually understanding self-care. And so through being the mess of a mom that I was with a kid that I needed to solve some issues with, so I had that huge learning curve. And then fortunately sitting with clients who were like disaster, who wanted something so much more than they could get. They couldn't pay their bills and they were, and so here I am fixing businesses. Well, you can't run a business
Mm.
if you don't feel well. You can't lead others if you don't feel well. You can't read your kids a bedtime story if you don't feel well. So I bridged all of that and I realized a hydrated wellness entrepreneur is actually really important. A hydrated mom is actually really important. And we start there.
And I like it with all the water bottles behind you. For those of you who are listening
Yes.
on your podcast, you can't see, but Lisa's sitting in her office and she has, that's one thing I remember about you. You always worked with water bottle companies and she has, I love the play on hydrated. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for that because it just shows to your integrity. And I agree, as an entrepreneur, it isn't like I walk away from my home life to my work life. Like it really is everything, every fiber of my being. And I was never able, you know, I was never able to do something where I wasn't in the stage of life. So when Randy and I started our first coupon book called our only coupon book called The Healthy Shopper, we did it for 18 years. We had just gotten married, both of us. We both got married with like very close to each other and in terms of dates, and I think it was like a year apart or something. And I wanted to, live a more organic, natural. I just gone back to school. I was a nutritionist. I wanted to look at what I was eating. We started our coupon book because everything was so darn expensive. We're like, how do we save money? And then when we started Naturally Savvy, we were having babies and there was that 25 to 45-year-old age range. And then when we started Morphus, we were like perimenopause and menopause. So I so agree with you. Everything is interconnected, at least for you, for myself. So that way and we wear our heart on our sleeve, right? So it's like, I can't pretend to sell something that I don't believe in 1,000 gazillion%. It just,
Sometimes I wonder what life would be like. I was once pitched this amazing job according to them, and I was like, you're selling like bottled water for babies. I'm no. And they were like, no, 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 this is a huge contract. Like, and then they kept dangling money in front. And I was like, I'd love that, but it's a no.
dude.
Like, I'm not even going to take a meeting. And they were like, you're not good at business.
Oh,
Like, oh, well, if that's what not good at business means, then okay, I'm good not being good at business.
I remember years ago, 2 funny stories. I remember Randy and I just started doing our videos. Like, this was like when video was becoming popular. This was,
Oh,
oh,
listen, I've been with you your whole journey, and I will say, based on what you said, I'm so happy we're around the same age because I've got to enjoy the phases along with you. Thank you for doing all that work.
so I don't know if you remember this, but we had worked with a brand. They had like this vegan at the time. And I have no issue with vegan or anything, but they had a vegan brownie and it just didn't taste good. In my opinion, I didn't love it, but we did a video for them. And I guess at the time, I don't remember if I hadn't tried it before or we made it for the video. I forget exactly, but I remember I tried it on camera and then but I didn't like the taste and everybody's there, like our producer, our film guy's there. And then I was like, oh my God. Like I could not even hide it in my face. And I remember thinking
Goodness,
after
it
that,
wasn't
like,
live. Thank goodness it wasn't during the live times.
I remember thinking after that, that will never happen again. And nor will I ever work with a brand that I don't think is good. That was number one. And the second thing was this was my birthday in 2016. And I got an incredible contract. It was the first time that I had ever done national commercials. And I was hired by this company to do 4 commercials. And this is across the country. And they had 4 different products they wanted me to do. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, this looks fine. And I did the first one. It was great. It was so exciting to be like watching TV and seeing, me there on camera. It was like
Right.
so wild. But then the other one, like the next one they wanted me to do had sucralose in it. And I looked at it and I was like, I can't bring this. I mean, my whole brand on Drunk Your Junk Food is literally about avoiding artificial sweeteners, additives, including artificial sweeteners like sucralose. It was in my book. We talked about it in 2011, how I
Right.
can't, I'm just not a fan of sucralose and aspartame and all those artificial sweeteners. And they're like, but can't you just do it? I'm like, I'm sorry. And I pulled out of 3 more national commercials because I could not go on national television promoting a product that had sucralose in it. And I begged them, I'm like, can you just reformulate? I mean, of course, at that point, I'm like, I had no idea what reformulation meant, but I'm like, can you just like take it out and put stevia in instead or monk fruit? And they were like, yeah, no. And I was like, sorry. And then that was it. I walked away from it. So,
And hear your tone as you're saying that, where it's like, it's heartbreaking. It's
oh,
hard.
so
It's
heartbreaking.
hard.
The
You're
money
working
was
so hard. The money.
amazing.
Exactly.
And it was
Exactly.
just everything was so amazing in terms of where I wanted to go with my entrepreneurial career and all that. And yeah. So, Lisa, let's talk about some solutions. So, let's talk about your exercise snacks. Let's talk about your habit stacking. Let's provide some ideas for women. So, who are feeling this overwhelm, who are feeling lack of focus, lack of concentration. What could we do that would be effective in order for us to get things done and feel less stressed and overwhelmed?
First thing, believe in the little things. That's like, I just came up with that now. Like, it's not something, it's like, as you're talking, it's like, believe in the little things. I talk about it all the time, but we have to believe in magic. We have to believe in possibility. And things can feel so impossible. Like I always say, even in what I do and what I believe, I have moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, this feels impossible, or I'm not even connected to myself to feel enough. So bringing yourself back to self. So journaling, journaling's amazing. I'm not talking about journaling. I'm saying, oh, you can't journal? You can't journal. Okay, here's why journaling is amazing. Putting your pen or pencil to paper rewires your brain. It gives you a pause. It helps you sleep better. And it could go on. And then I could back it up with studies. Not studies that I've done, but studies that I've found to back it up for people who want to substantiate with studies. What's your favorite song? Do you have a favorite song? Put it on or Google the lyrics and write the lyrics. I call it lyric logging.
Mm.
It is a self-care snack. And so I teach this one stackable snack, which I can explain today. And I teach it, I share it in my community. Everyone has access to it. We all look at it. People try it. People don't say, that's stupid. I'm not going to try it, which is also encouraged. Like you don't have to do everything that feels good for somebody else is not going to really work for you. So be true to yourself, but give stuff a try. Give these little things that seem silly and stupid a try because they open up a can of worms. And so that's one thing, lyric logging. Put on your favorite song. First of all, you got the music. So music is healing. You have the frequency. You're also going to take your eyes off of the screen. And I love looking at you and doing this interview, but right afterward, I will do something, even for 30 seconds, to just break that exhaustion. And it could be lyric logging if I have 3 minutes. If I have 30
Mm.
seconds, I do something different. If I have 10 minutes, I do something different. So lyric logging is one of those things. The other one are exercise snacks. I've already recorded close to 200 of them.
Mhm.
I do not teach them like you. I mean, I've taught a few. I am qualified to teach many of them. But this is not about doing things on our own. This is about exposing us to as many different things as possible. So if you go to yoga every day, that's amazing. You're going and you love your yoga teacher and you love your mat and you roll out your mat probably in the same spot with the same teacher. And so you have this beautiful practice. Is that great? 100%. But have you ever tried facing the other way? Doing a class with a different yoga teacher, it rewires your brain. It rewires your brain. We all need help rewiring our brains. What happens if instead of compromising your favorite yoga class with your mat in your favorite spot, you could just learn from a different yoga teacher online for a minute and a half and go, actually, I can't stand their energy. I never want to do a yoga class with that person. Or you go, wow, I don't want to take a class with that person, but I just learned something that's going to change my downward dog forever. I'm going to take that to my mat. I feel better. I feel more connected to what I'm doing. All of that is self-care. That really matters. That doesn't take really any extra time. And then what happens if I take it away from yoga and I say, I really don't want to try Qigong. I don't have an extra 3 hours. There's this thing on Saturday, but I did it. We all have excuses. I can be exposed to Qigong in my community under the Exercise Snack Studio, and I learn a move or two
Mm.
and I incorporate that. I always say stacking habits, which is something I learned from James Clear from Atomic Habits, which is a great book I recommend for basically making time. That's like there's a million efficiency things in there. But I always say I used to run to the bathroom, I would pee, and then I'd run back to my desk, right? I'm
Mhm.
sure you've done that before. It's like
Mhm.
you're so proud of yourself when you've made time to pee.
Oh, I
Uh,
was just gonna say that, just
right?
making the time to actually go and pee, like,
Yeah.
yes,
So
totally.
if you hydrate well, you have to pee.
Yeah,
So if you hydrate well, you're ahead of the game. Then you're
yes.
peeing, taking the break before running back to your chair. Do walking lunges back to your chair.
Mm,
Do bear crawl back to your chair. Walk backwards. Stop in the door frame and do a door frame stretch.
mm,
We don't often learn the why we are doing something. Why am I lyric logging? Why does that stretch in the door frame feel great or not feel great? And then what can I do about it?
mm.
So inviting curiosity to the party, no matter what you're doing, those little things, that's what adds up. And it sounds so ridiculous and cliche, but that's how I've turned businesses around. That's how I've supported, as you said, it's that journey. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids that I adore who will be 24 and 22 and 17. I've run a business for 30 years. I feel like I can say I have the experience and skills to talk to other moms, to talk to other,
Mhm,
peri and menopausal women, to talk to entrepreneurs, to talk to people who are all 3 of those things and not minimize. Like, it's a lot. And just starting with, it's a lot. Let's do small things. Let's do small things. Let's look at what you're doing and not doing and stack in all these self-care and exercise snacks into our day because there's science that shows that that changes how great you feel during the day and how well you sleep at night, which is really my purpose here.
Can you take us through an example of a day of habit stacking?
For me,
Sure, or in
sure.
general, doesn't matter.
So I mean, I have a morning routine that is very different than what you see online. I do not subscribe to that. Like the first hour is not on my phone. I love my phone. I love my connection. I have a grip on it in a different way. Um, I need to move. I need to ground. I need to put my bare feet onto ground, which being in Toronto in the winter, if I am here, makes it challenging, but I
Mm,
still really try and stick to it. I know how much better I feel. But so I have my morning routine, and depending on who's listening, where they are at their life, are they taking their kids to carpool? My kids don't need that anymore, but maybe people do. So there'd be that for moms who have younger kids. When you actually land back at your house or at your desk after a morning getting kids to school, you've already won the marathon of life. Like you already feel like you have to just take a moment to be like, ah, that was so great. Like everyone's where they need to
and
be.
they got there on time. We
Oh
actually
my
got
God.
there before the bell rang.
Even if they're not totally on time, but if they're on time, that's like,
Big bonus.
podium stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so then you sit down at your desk and you know the time is ticking. You know that you have limited time, whether
Mhm,
you have kids or not, but you know that there's limited time before you have some other obligation or responsibility, and that weighs on you.
mhm,
So you hear, anybody in the mindfulness space is like, it's about living in the present moment. And that's great. And it's true. And when I'm present and all accounted for, whew, it feels really good. But for the most part, I'm not. Like dinner's going to get done, the phone is ringing, I just spilled this, or, it's like the littlest things derail. So, what's my day look like? I hydrate so much. It actually changed my life the most. And it's my biggest, I will not work with an entrepreneurial client or anyone who refuses to hydrate. Like, you got to get on a hydration plan. Why? Because if you're hydrated, you have
Oh,
to pee. And if you have to pee,
I love
you have
that.
to get up off your ass. It's not optional. There's only so long you can hold your pee, and it doesn't get any easier, right?
That is hilarious, and so you. I love that.
And so true,
It's so
right?
true because
So
it
true.
absolutely interrupts you from what you're doing. There isn't even a question.
I have had clients who say, I don't have time to drink because I don't have time to pee. And I'm like, well, this isn't going to work.
You're like, "Go find
It's gonna
someone
work.
else."
I don't remember the stats. What is it? Like, our skin is 70% water. Our brain is not, like, we need
Need
every
water.
single
Yeah.
function in our body depends on water. And I'm not talking about crappy water. We work on water quality. I work on, empathy economics, which is another term that I've coined, which is trace back everything you're buying to where it came from and feel good about it. So I do extensive research, including interviewing the humans behind brands to find the integrity, or, as we started at the beginning, the lack of.
Mm,
Who's lying? I'm not bringing anyone forward who's lying. It's just, I'm not Mother Teresa, but I think we deserve transparency. Like you said,
mm,
I might not be choosing something that you would choose, but I'm going to be transparent about it. We need to demand transparency from our food, from our t-shirts, from our water bottles, from everything. We deserve honesty and transparency. So, quality of water, and then activating our water. So, salt is something that I talk about. And then I find the salt that has, no human waste in it, that no, hormones that have come into the water system, no microplastics. How do you find that salt? So now we're drinking this clean water. We're activating with salt. So it's, getting into our cells, not just flushing out our system.
mm,
I now have to pee a lot.
mm,
When I have to pee, I stack a habit. My trick, and it's not what I teach everyone because it depends on their day, but my trick is to pee a lot. So I exercise and self-care snack on the way back to where I'm going before I do. And it took a lot of training. And I would say, like, at the beginning, I was excited when it was once a day that I remembered to stack a snack into my day. And now, before my day gets started, I have certain snacks, and then all through the day, stacked to my bathroom habits,
mm.
there's an exercise snack. I've been known to plank right outside the bathroom often, right? Takes a minute. And it's amazing the studies that show
That's
that
great.
even if you're a marathon runner and you spend 3 hours doing the best workout in the morning, if you are then stagnant the rest of the day,
Yeah,
your metabolic health is not as good.
yeah,
Your
I'm not yeah.
metabolic health is much stronger when you add teeny bursts of activity into your day. And they're silly. They don't need to be big. They don't need you to do anything, even outside of your current skill and capability right now. And it's amazing. It could be reading one page of a book, rewire your brain, feel better during the day, sleep better at night, which, it's like that chicken and egg situation, right? Whether you're running a business, you're cooking dinner, or you're in a crappy mood, all of these snacks stacked into your day will feel better. I probably didn't answer your question, but
Oh, absolutely. Like, so what would be a snack, a self-care snack that you could give women because mood is such a big issue for us in perimenopause and menopause? What's what's a way that we could turn our frown upside down? I don't know, I had to say
I
that.
know. I saw you. I was like, what's she about to say? What was she about to say?
Oh,
You
good.
had to go
I don't know,
there.
I had to be silly. So how can we help ourselves? How can we just help go if we're in a bad mood? How can we stop ourselves and really change that thought process or that mindset?
I'm going to be annoying with the answer. I'm going to say it depends. And I'm going to say it depends on you, right? So, going back to lyric logging, it might be lyric logging. One of my favorite self-care snacks for women of our age is actually screaming into a pillow.
Mm.
There are studies about it. It actually comes from an old rabbi. There's like a whole ritual about it, but there's like tons and tons written. So what I did is I took all the studies and all the ancient stuff and I practiced it myself to see, does it resonate? And then I put it all down into the format that I do, that I share in my community, in a self-care snack. Screaming into a pillow. So you mentioned crappy mood. So that's what comes to my mind right now. But if someone's sitting in front, I was like, I don't want to scream into a pillow, or I'm at work, I don't have access to a pillow and I can't
Where can
scream
I
because
scream?
it's a public place.
Yeah.
I would say, oh, have you tried the counter swing? Stephanie Nosko teaches that. It's based on Qigong. The way she teaches it is amazing. You can do it anywhere. And it totally is such a release and reset.
So what is that?
It's a Qigong move. We could
Mm.
stand up and do it, right? But it's
Yeah,
like,
but just show
it,
like I'll talk it through or maybe talk it through for those who are listening. So you stand up.
well, you stand up and
Okay.
it's a video that's in the Wellness Intelligence Collective, my
Okay.
community, and you follow along. And so you learn it and it teaches you the why and it teaches it to you. And I think her video is maybe 75 seconds. And
Oh,
then
okay. So it's
it's a,
fast. I like that.
oh, everything's fast because that's how my brain works. I'm like, I don't have time to sit down for that. And
When
so
you
you
say counter
stand up.
swing, you're taking your arms. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So she's basically just swinging her arms from side to side. Interesting. You can watch this on video on YouTube, by the way. We've put
Exactly. And
video.
and instead of listening to me, because it gets tiring to listen to one person, right? I brought in Stephanie Nosko, who's actually one of my teachers who I took a training with. So she would have given me the blessing. I could have taught it. But we have to really support each other. She is a brilliant
I
teacher.
agree. Yeah.
Also, the more people that take her courses, the better the world's going to be because we're all going to be in a
Mhm.
better mood.
I
But
love that.
somebody else may say, my neck hurts, or I can't do something standing up. So it depends. But I'm telling you, exercise snacks and self care snacks, Andrea, I've already shared like over 350 of them. They're all bite sized pieces, they're all shared with the exact same. Here's an introduction. Here are the benefits. Here's why. Here's the video to follow to do it, or the worksheet to print out. It's great. One of my favorite is called the Infinity Trace. And it's this little teeny square that I designed. It's around 2 by 2. You print it off. You can tape it to your computer. You can tape it to your inside of your wallet. You can tape it to your dashboard. And it's breathing. And you trace your finger and it rewires your brain. It's pausing. Just pause. Everything, people talk about being present. How do you tell someone who's not present just to be present? It's like telling someone to sit down and meditate and clear their mind when they have 9 zillion things going on.
Mm.
No, no. Tell me to pause, to breathe, and give me something to do. And so the Infinity Trace is brilliant. I have it on taped on the outside of my notebook, and it goes everywhere with me. And if I need it, it's an
Mm.
environmental cue too. When I see it, it reminds me to pause because I need those reminders.
We all do. I love that. I think that is
Yeah.
such a good tip. Oh, okay.
So I use Q cubes also for my clients where I make them. And it's like just leave with, you taping something to a mirror, or it's like, no, here's 6 exercise snacks.
Mm.
Upside down. But
So it
six,
looks like a Rubik's Cube. She's just showing me a picture. It looks like a
yeah.
Rubik's Cube that you made yourself. And can you just read what the six are on that one
So
cube?
this is called, so it's proprioceptive rebounding, flow climber, nose circles, curl down, energy stir, and standing champs. So all of those have corresponding like 1 minute videos. But really, once you learn them, do you know what I mean? Like once
Know
you learn
them.
the
Yeah.
infinity trace and you put it on, you don't need to go back into the community to find the article. It's like, I'm let me fill people's toolboxes with these tools that are so dependent on what the person needs, tailored to the person and what resonates with them. Because where you start there, it expands.
So Lisa, you said that you've shared this. Talk a little bit about the wellness intelligence. community.
So in 2021, which was not that long ago, when we had all been, I'm going to call it isolated, right? Everyone was experiencing lockdowns. Many of my clients were struggling to, and I don't like to use the word, but pivot. People are trying to come online, and we weren't hugging each other. We weren't finding each other anymore. I realized it's like I'm always solutions focused. Like, how can I bring people together? How can I do this? No one wants to we can't come together. I was like, I'm going to start a place where I can bring all of my clients, because my clients are brilliant. You and Randy are brilliant. So's Stephanie, who I just spoke to. She's brilliant. So is my client who runs a sustainable, hotel chain in Costa Rica. Like, bring everybody into one place. And if Andrea is doing a retreat, she can go to Hans's retreat. If Hans needs to hire a menopause instructor, they could come to, Andrea and Randy to do education. And there's a zillion connections. I was like, oh, I know what to do. Instead of all these intros that I'm spending time doing and not being paid for and exhausting me, I'm going to put everyone into one place, and everyone's going to show up, and everyone's going to get along, and it's going to be great. And then one of my clients was like, you have to share all of these other things, because I want to know. Everyone's always asking me, like, where'd you get the socks from? Or do you have a painter that uses no VOC paint? Or what water filter do you use? What chocolate bars don't have heavy metals? And I answer everybody. So I realized I'm going to answer them all in one spot, and I'm going to make it accessible. So there's no charge to join. It is all contribution-based model, not donation, contribution. It is not asked for. So there's no like pop-ups asking you for contributions. It's my purpose in life is to make wellness intelligence, another term that I coined, accessible to everyone. I want people to have a curated wellness experience if they want, or just a place where they can go where there's radical trust and transparency. And so anyone can join. I've obviously worked with creative entrepreneurs, but as I said, I'm a soon to be 53-year-old mom of 3 kids. All of that is in this community. So you've been there multiple times. We've done an interview with you. We featured the summit. I want people to know about you. So I bring you in to talk about it. And what's our business arrangement? We don't have one. It's a village. We show up for each other. You're doing amazing things. I want to showcase you. I don't ask you, can I have $10 for every person that's buying this? No, I don't want commission-based. So it's contribution, people who can contribute, who receive something from it. Oh, I got 6 clients. Oh, I sold 12 organic mattresses. You can put something back in so it supports the next person.
I love that.
Thank you. And it was meant as a side project, and it's sort of taken over my life because it is a magical place, because people get to show up and not just find the best socks and water filter and pillow to sleep on, but they get to actually find other like-minded people on a similar journey. And yeah, I love it. Every Monday I teach a lesson in empathy economics, which is like, not all honey is created equal. Not all menopause supplements are created equal. Not all, like, whatever it happens to be. I have hundreds of those done. Not all tea bags are created equal was last week. Every Tuesday I share one snack, either self-care or exercise. Every Wednesday I share one of my favorite things. Again, it's not affiliate marketing. It's actually one of my favorite things with a why. Every Wednesday, I also host a 30-minute live session where we go live. You were just on, and I've done that for 3 years, every Wednesday at noon, except one, with different guests. Sometimes people have to listen to me, but most of the time I have somebody else to come on. And every Thursday, I do an interview with a good human. You've also been a good human. I've interviewed everybody from clients' children who are like 8 years old to my grandmother who is now 101,
Wow.
and entrepreneurs in between. So no matter what somebody's looking for, there's
Mhm.
something that feels good, not toxically positive, but really like positive and hopeful and possibility.
I love it, Lisa. And where could people join? What's the website? Where, and we'll put links to everything below too, but what's the website?
So people can contact me through my Borden Communications website, which is bordencom.com. But if you want to join the community, which is what most people want to find because there's the practical tools are there, it's the Wellness Intelligence Collective.com. And when you request to join, you put a referral. In this case, if you're listening to this podcast, please put Andrea's name or Morphus, whatever you want. So I know that you are a real person. That is the payment, is you have to
Mm,
fill out your profile and be real. That's what we want.
mm.
We don't want any bots hanging around. It's how we keep things very human.
I love that. And you are all about the human experience. You talk a lot about that and good humans. I love that when you say good humans. I
Thank
need a
you.
t-shirt. I want one of those. Do you have t-shirts that say that?
Be a kind human. I always say
Kind
kind,
human. I love it.
kind is what we're after. I've been
I love
challenged on that good human thing where humans aren't good or bad. We're just all
mm,
human. Um, but I didn't change it. I listen, active listening, but I'm like, no, these are people that I just feel like in my heart are good humans to me. And I
mm.
write a personal introduction, and they're old-fashioned written interviews because it's a beautiful process for people to go through, to be asked questions and have to answer. So I'm tricking people into doing their own self-care and mindful work. I'm
Oh,
at
that.
least upfront about my manipulation. And the result is something that doesn't require someone to sit down and listen to a 1 hour conversation, which we don't always have, but you can sort of skim and see pretty pictures and pick up on something and distill, do I want to know Andrea Donsky more or not? And so giving people more choice, right? Giving people more choice is a beautiful thing.
Well, I love it. And I love that it's free for people to sign up. It's an incredible community. Like Lisa said, I've been on the live a couple of times. You've interviewed me, and now we just did recently a video interview. So if you want to go and check out that, as well as all her other incredible interviews and I mean, the plethora of information. I mean, it's just unbelievable how
Yeah.
much value this community is. So thank you for all of your work and everything that you do. And for your authenticity. And also, you know, what's amazing to me, Lisa, about you and me and Randy, and it's like, as women, I find that like, so, and I'm saying this because when I did the intro for you, and I didn't practice it, it was just kind of, I do it off the cuff. And I listened to you introduce me earlier today,
Yeah.
and as you were introducing me, I'm like, and I asked the same question. I'm like, "Am I uncomfortable?" Like this, like the way you introduced me, I'm like, "Whoa!" Like, who is that person? You know? So I love the fact that you were like, "I'm not uncomfortable. I'm listening to everything you're saying," because I did ask myself that question. I'm like, "Man, like, oh wow!" Like,
Listen, 5 years ago, I would have thrown up. I would have like been like, we need to
I
pause and start
remember.
again because I'm working on receiving. We all need to work on receiving, right?
Absolutely. So when you said all that, I was like, first of all, thank you. Like, and what a beautiful introduction you did for me. But it's like we're not afraid to say how we feel, to give each other compliments. Randy is the same way. Like, we're not afraid to say, you're a freaking rock star at what you do. You're an incredible person. And that doesn't take away from me. Like, I'm not like, there's no insecure, like, I just,
Oh,
yeah,
acknowledgement is such a beautiful, we all stand on the shoulders of people before us, people beside us. It's like, stop pretending you make everything up. Like I always, as I said, I could teach those exercise snacks. No, it takes me so much longer to deal with a person. We're better together. We're better together. And women, I believe, inherently know that. Like, we want other good women friends. And that's part of what the Wellness Intelligence Collective is. It's not just for women, but it's like people who make the effort to show up there. You saw the people who were at the Wellness Intelligence.
amazing,
They're like,
amazing people.
they care, they ask questions, they're listening, they're intent. They're not like rolling their eyes. They're not there to get anything, but to like, it's like we're there for each other. So
Yeah.
I create this community, I create the conditions, but it doesn't work if you don't show up. So thank you, right? It's everyone shows up. We create
Yeah.
it. It's co-creation.
I love it. Well, it comes from the top, right? The community stems from the leaders. So kindness is my mantra, it's your mantra, and I love it. And I appreciate everything you're doing, and I appreciate you being on today and sharing your beautiful community with our beautiful community.
Ditto, ditto to all of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Lisa and you took some of her stacking ideas and her exercise snacks and self love snacks to help you get through your day if you're finding it very overwhelming or you're lacking focus or concentration. If you enjoyed my interview, please share it because the more you share shows you care. And please take a moment to leave a review for our podcast because when you review our podcast and you rate it, it sends it out to more people so we can help more women in perimenopause and menopause. Thank you for spending the last little bit with me. I appreciate you because I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing, but instead, you chose to spend it with me. And for that, I'm grateful. I'll see you at the next interview.